They tried to microchip me at the mammogram doctor. I know because I have personal experience with.
This definitely is similar to the legacy of covert experiments, all right, from a historical standpoint. When it comes to this lady saying that, she's aware that while she was getting a mammogram, they were trying to microchip her. Oftentimes, they think most people are just dumb or completely aloof and unaware of the things that they're doing. And she actually caught on to this. Now, when this comes to the legacy of covert experimentation, they're becoming a lot more careless with the ways in which they're trying to do these things. Oftentimes, they count on somebody being marginalized or unaware or, just basically someone impoverished that they can do these non-consensual medical experiments like they've done in the past. And I want to focus a little bit on what was done to Henrietta Lacks, okay, and so many other people. Also, when they did a lot of things on these men under the guise of helping them, these trials, these syphilis trials that happened, and so many other things, okay. A lot of gynecological experiments by J. Marion Sims. Yeah, these things are basically similar to things that they're trying to do now.
They tried to microchip me at the mammogram doctor. I know because I have personal experience with the situation. So I got the mammogram. And they're like, well, we recommend that you get an ultrasound because we can't fully see what's going on because you have dense breasts. And that just means I don't have big old titties that I can smash into a vise and they can clearly see everything going on inside. And by rule, you have to do the mammogram before you can be referred to getting an ultrasound. Now, I would try to weasel my way back in just doing an ultrasound rather than doing a mammogram first because it's worthless. So I had to schedule a separate ultrasound day, and I went in for that, and there were like three women in there. One was the ultrasound specialist, there was an assistant, and then an understudy. And it was awkward. My tit was out, my little nightgown was open. They put some gel on my boobs and then ran the ultrasound machine over just to see what was going on. They didn't see anything that alarming. They just saw an area that looked like a little shadow. They took a ton of images all around the boob and measured it and everything. So they knew exactly where it was, pinpointed. So then the main doctor looked at my images and was like, you need to schedule a biopsy. I thought I had fucking cancer. Like, I thought it was over for me. It was the worst day ever. Because who knew what the hell it was, you know? So then I had to schedule a biopsy, which was a whole other day. And they didn't have any appointments for like a month. So I had to sit around waiting and wondering. That was shit. So I read up about the biopsy before I went in, which was good because I knew what to expect and it looked terrible. Okay. It's called a core biopsy. And they basically drill a hole in your tit and they dig around and take some skin cells and put it in a little tube and send it off to the laboratory. And I had read and I had seen some videos that I researched where they were putting microchips in women's breasts. They said that they put this little piece of titanium inside of the breasts where they do the core biopsy and they leave it there. Now, from what I read, it said that it was helpful for them to be able to track where the spot is of concern. So I knew going into the biopsy that I would have to let them know every way, shape, and form that I was to opt out of the titanium chip that was going to be nestled into my breast forever. So when I signed in, did the paperwork the day of the biopsy, I wrote a little note on there claiming that I was not okay and with the titanium chip and I wanted to reject that procedure. Then I was greeted by a nurse when I went in and we talked about the same thing. And I told her that I wanted to opt out of the chip. And she said, okay, and sounded like she understood me. And I wanted her to relay that to the surgeon. So then, right before the surgeon was going to do the biopsy on me, I reminded her that I wasn't okay with the titanium chip. And it's like, how many times do I have to say this and relay this information? And anyway, I think she said something like, oh, well, it's for the better so we can track the area of concern for your next visit and in the future. So I think she's trying to sell this to me still. And for me, it's just like a firm no, but no argument because, I'm the one on the table and she's doing the surgery. So anyway, they will try to microchip you every step of the way if they can, up until the last second where your tit is out and being dissected. So just be vocal, write it down on the paperwork, and make sure you tell everybody loud and clear that you don't want it if you don't want it. But if you do, power to you.
And although these histories leave epigenetic echoes, we're beginning to realize that when we're uncomfortable of going into these medical environments, it could be because on some level or subconscious level, the distrust is valid. So when this woman said that, they tried to microchip her, her body could be reacting to a long lineage of violations, not just literal implantations. This could also trigger ancestral memory. And keep in mind, this was a woman, a European woman, and she felt this way. So if you are aware of things that happen in the so-called dark ages and medieval times, even things that happen to those that are of the J community, I can't say the word because they're very sensitive, but that particular community had a lot of experimentations done on them. And so for her to pick up on that at a literal mammogram that's supposed to be a part of preventative care speaks a lot of volume. Because if the Euro woman is feeling a threat in a medical environment, yeah, that should make us be very much on edge. Because if they coming after her, they coming after everybody, basically. So also when it comes to this whole thing about being very dismissive of these covert experiments, um, the basically trying to relegate it to being a conspiracy theorist is a way to just negate the truth. They don't want you to be aware that they're running trials. They don't want you to be aware that, it's not a lab rat or a monkey in a lab. They're using you as that monkey or that lab rat.